So welcome to the final 9 coverage of the Catch the Spirit in Mijas competition, PDGA C-Tier that was played in Malaga, Spain in February at the Disc Golf Park Mijas. This was actually my first PDGA tournament abroad, and me and my friends booked a trip there and only later noticed that there's a competition there, so we decided to join in. So after first round, Jonathan was pretty much in the lead with me playing okay and Jani not probably his best. And then Jonathan played -1 and I played +1 on the second round, and Jani improved quite a bit. And the first 2 rounds were played on one day and it was completely calm, so it was much easier than on the second day when the third and the final 9 were played. And so at this moment we are I'm 2 shots behind Jonathan and Jan is 1 shot behind me. So hole 17 looks pretty much straight ahead, but with the wind coming in heavily from the left, it's not too easy. Here's my opening shot. I leave it too low and it crashes onto the hillside. So I decide to go with a Firebird hyzer and it ends up going long. This is actually a pretty big moment, because if I miss this putt, then I'm giving away 1 more shot because everybody else is playing for par. But I managed to hit the putt and stay in the competition, so no changes for the scores on that hole. And hole 18 is pretty difficult par 4 because the pin is on top of a mound back there, and I have been struggling with the hole all 3 previous rounds and couldn't really get an idea how to play it, and now with the wind it's gonna be more difficult again. I decided to go with the big anhyzer flex shot with a C-Line PDX, and this time I managed to get a really good rip on it, and it does the full S-curve and lands almost on the road up there. Unfortunately, the upshot is not that excellent, so it's pretty far from the basket, and I actually 3-putt after that thing, so end up taking a bogey and then dropping 1 stroke from the lead again. Hole 1 looks like the easiest hole on the course almost, but surprisingly our group hasn't managed to get 2 good scores on it the previous rounds, and also the wind is playing tricks on this again. That's my second shot. Our cameraman missed the first one, and unfortunately I leave that putt low and can't capitalize on the nice drive again. So the second hole we didn't get video because our cameraman was working as a spotter for us, but you can see how the hole goes from here. So I played a flick C-Line PDX on top of the road that you see on the right hand side, and then a blind flick with a really overstable mid-range that actually ended up right next to the basket, so I got a drop-in birdie, whereas the other guys were struggling a bit but managed to get their pars. So I took now back the 1 stroke I gave on. So hole number 3 is not that long par 4, but the very steep uphill at the end of the hole makes it seem way longer than it is. And you really want to just land in the middle. There's pretty spiky bushes, a lot of them on the left hand side. You don't want to go there. So here's my drive. It's not the best one I have had here. It lands in the middle, but it's pretty short, so I got a upshot with S-Line CD2. Almost get what I'm trying to do, but it hits the bush at the end. So I just need to do an upshot with a overstable mid-range. That almost goes in, and then there's a downhill straddle putt that I managed to make. So everybody got a par, and the situation is still the same as in the beginning of the final 9. Hole 4 is probably one of the most difficult holes on this course, when it's windy, there's nothing special about it otherwise, but it's straight ahead and the basket is on top of the mound, probably the highest point of the course, so it's super windy up there. I had thrown a straight mid-range with a Eagle McMahon Glow MD3 all rounds. That was a bit low, but I managed to get a nice upshot there and made my putt in the pretty heavy side wind, so I was pretty stoked about that when the other guys got when Jonathan, who me and Jani are chasing, he got a bogey, so here's my chance to catch him a little bit. Hole 5 looks easy on the video, but there's a pretty steep drop off to the left, so if your backhand right hand drive fades at all, it's probably going to the bottom of the ravine down there, and the wind is coming heavily from the right, so that's also another factor to take in. I'm throwing a Luster C-Line DDX with a little bit of hyzer flip and managed to hit the line pretty nicely, so it's going down the middle there. That leaves me quite the short upshot with a flick Firebird, but for some reason that Firebird doesn't get any fade at all, so it ends up under the tree there. It's a pretty makeable putt, but in this wind it's not that easy. So I airball it a little bit and then just have to tap in for a par. So everybody gets a par and the situation is still the same with 2 holes to play. Hole 6, pretty lengthy par 3, but it's steeply downhill, so it's very reachable. So there's a huge drop off from the tee, and then the basket rises a little bit also at the end. It's a fun hole in calm conditions, but there's heavy crosswind from the right, a little bit of headwind too, so it's tough to say what you're gonna throw in this one. I throw a Luster C-Line DDX again, but the wind gets the top of the flight plate and slams it down midway. But a nice upshot with the Eagle Glow MB3 gets me about a 6-meter straddle putt that I make. And actually Jonathan had a pretty similar putt for par on this hole, but he missed twice, so he got a double bogey, whereas me and Jani escaped with a par. So now all of a sudden I'm leading by 1 going into the final hole. Hole 16 looks probably a little bit easier on the video than it really is. What you're trying to do is get over that first drop, and the sweet spot is on the curve of the road to the right where there's some blue markings. Then there's a shortish upshot to the basket. This is a hole also that I had been struggling with almost all of the rounds, and it's a tricky situation with leading by 1. So here I go with a C-Line PDX, but unfortunately I leave it way too low and crash to the side of the mound there. Here's Jani. I believe he's throwing a giant by west side, and he gets it to turn a little bit and go exactly almost to the sweet spot. I don't know what Jonathan's driving with, but he makes a really good shot, good placement. It's not on the sweet spot to the right, but it's right in the middle up there. Here's my next shot with a C-Line PD2, I believe, that I just picked up the Pro Store. I did only what I could from there. There's Jonathan's upshot. He gets a really nice drive to the other side of the basket. So played like in the textbook. Jani actually ends up in a little bit of a tricky spot, but he's a good thumber thrower. So here he is lining up another one of those, but it's a very tight window that he needs to hit. But he manages to do just that, so it's almost at the basket. So here's my third shot. The only choice is really to go straight at it, but there's some limbs hanging down from the tree, so I need to keep it super low but try and not hit the ground. And that was nothing like what I planned. But the easy upshot with the overstable mid-range that almost skips in, I'm right next to the basket. So here's the putt for the win, but Jonathan only gets the side of the basket. And here's actually another putt for the win by Jani. Remember, it's super windy, you can see the chains moving. And he doesn't manage to get that. And even this putt, although it looks short, but it's not too easy, so he needs to concentrate fully on it to get a spot in the playoff. And he gets it, he's happy. So everybody finishes in at the same score, and we are a bit puzzled because nobody told us what would happen next, but we tracked down the TD and he said that it's gonna be a replay of hole 1, and if somebody gets a better score than all the others, then he wins. So here we go again on hole 1. Jani doesn't quite get the result he wants with the thumber. He used to park that shot in the other rounds. I go with a flick firebird, but I leave it too low and it catches some cabbage on the side of the hill.
Yeah.
So next up is Jonathan. He goes with a hyzer backhand around the tree. But it's a little bit long and it actually stays up on the hillside. Jani has a tough spot to make it to the basket from here, but he makes it with a flick, and I just need to throw my putter under the basket and see what the other guys do. And I was actually rooting for Jonathan to make this because he had been in the lead all of the rounds so far. But another basket hit only, and it's looking like a tie again on hole 1. Let's see what Jani does. Another short putt that needs concentration. There we go. Everybody is tied at 222 shots, which is crazy that there's 3 guys on the same score after 3.5 rounds. So we go to hole number 1 again. So this time it's for the CTP. Jani doesn't quite make the correction again, and this is probably his worst thumber on this hole. I'm going with the flick firebird again and trying to make the correction, keep it a little bit higher. There we go. It skips at the basket. And it should be pretty close. Here's Jonathan. He's not changing his plan either, so hyzer backhand around 3. Looks like he leaves it a little bit low and not enough power, so it's short. And actually he was something like 8 meters short while I was 6 meters long, so the CTP goes to B. Woo! So it was a really fun experience, and actually first time I've been filmed on the round, which made it a lot of fun also, and it's the first time making this commentary also. And so I suggest if you're in the area, try out the Disco Park Mijas course. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty long and there's steep hills up and down all the way, and if you go in the heat of summer, I think it might be a little too much. So somewhere from September all the way to April or May, I think it's the best time to go.